tight end's been a very weak position this season. So here's a few tight ends you could go out there and grab on the waiver wire to help you out. The first guy is Tonyan of the Green Bay Packers. He's a guy for weeks that hasn't produced, and I've said drop him, but now he's out there in 44% of fantasy leagues, and he had a good game versus the Colts with 5 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown. So Tonyan, the middle of the field was open. He got a decent amount of work, but I'm not that crazy about going out there and getting him. But like I said, he's putting up enough to be owned, I guess, at this point, the way this position's been. But he's a guy that he's so inconsistent. You don't know what you're going to get in a week in and week out basis from Tonyan. But this week, he had a decent game. He got the targets. He found the end zone. And he's touchdown dependent, is Tonyan, like many tight ends are. So he's a guy, I'll target him, but don't expect much. The second guy is Dalton Schultz. I had him as a sleeper this week in week 11, and he had a great game in this one with Schultz versus the Minnesota Vikings. 4 catches, 25 yards, and a touchdown on 6 targets, and that's what you like to see. He got 12.5 fantasy points, and like I've been saying, the tight end position's weak. Anything in double digits and above, obviously, that's a great thing. So Schultz, 12.5 points. This Cowboy offense, they actually look like a professional offense today, and beating the red-hot Vikings, who won 3 in a row. Andy Dalton, he had time. He hit his receivers. Guys were open. Zeke Elliott looked good. So this offense, there's some optimism heading into the Thanksgiving game here in Week 12 versus the Washington football team. So Dalton Schultz, he was a part of it. He found the end zone, and he's available in 79% of fantasy leagues, and he's a guy I would use this week, actually, versus Washington. The next guy is Jordan Akins, another guy who was on my sleeper list, and this guy exploded for the Houston Texans in this one. 5 catches, 83 yards with a 13.3 fantasy day, and he's available in 98% of leagues. This guy, I think he's going to take over as the starter. Darren Fells, he hasn't done much now the last few weeks, and Akins, I just had a feeling he would have a good game, and he did. Now he goes into Detroit this week. On Thanksgiving as well is Deshaun Watson and the Texans. That game, the first one of the 3 that day, and Akins, Detroit, they're not a great team. They're not a good defense. I could see Akins maybe having a decent game, but tight end's just a tricky position, and you ride the hot hand, and this guy coming off a good game, he's a guy to target and go get. So Akins is the third guy. The next guy is Jordan Reed of the San Francisco 49ers. Spoke about him a lot in the last few videos about tight ends. But anyway, he's available in 85% of leagues. He looks like he's going to be the man there over Robert Dwelly in San Francisco. And we saw him have a decent game last week with 5 catches, 62 yards. He had the bye week this week in week 11, and now here in week 12 they're going to go to versus the Rams. They're going to be trailing in a lot of games, so they're going to need to make up points. They need to drive down the field, and Jordan Reed, he makes plays, he gets the job done, and he's not a bad guy. The problem with him over the years in Washington and now even here is the injuries. It's always an ankle or a knee for Jordan Reed. If he could just stay healthy, this guy's a top 10 tight end the rest of the way. So go out there and get Jordan Reed. And the 5th and final guy is Zach Ertz of the Philadelphia Eagles. He's been practicing. The Eagles lose another tough one to the Browns. And Ertz, I think he's ready to go this week. And he's still available in 45% of leagues. He's been practicing. He needs some time, Doug Peterson said. But I think this is the time, and the time is now. On Monday Night Football, he'll get the extra day of rest and practice, and they need this game versus Seattle, because now it's pretty much a 4-way tie in the NFC East, even though it's the NFC least this year. So Ertz, he's playing for a contract as well. You know, he wants to come back and have good performances. So that's a few tight ends you should look to add on waivers heading into Week 12.